Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
Fine then. We'll see how we can create reports in terms of learning. There are only basically, straightforward kind of requirements in learning. One is completion status. To know the completion status, one is list of courses available. The other one is instructors. Only these three requirements that you'll be getting, and completion status as per your current requirement and future requirement. You just need to tweak the filters. Let's say if you're looking for 2021 compliance course tracking who has completed and who has not, you can just filter with 2021 courses and in future. And if you add any kind of additional courses, you can just add those courses into that filter. That tweaks only you'd be needing. And other than that, there will be no need of creating any other reports. But if there are any other report requirements, you can just go with the same process as what we'll be doing. And the other requirement that you may be getting is campaigns. When I'm dealing with campaigns for different scenarios, probably you may be launching campaign. One is for new hires. You will be launching this compliance course, sending compliance course information to all the new hires. Based on that, you may be needing to create one customer report for all new hires. And if there are any other criteria for any kind of courses that you wanted to use, campaigns to send a kind of content or notifications to intended group, you may be creating, let's say, management level directors. Directors are supposed to take some particular course and you wanted to send a notification or content to all the directors and give a kind of course information to them. If you have that kind of requirements, you will be creating a report and filtering with their management level. These kinds of different kinds of reports, not simple reports only, not a kind of complex report. But you will be working with the different filters, different kinds of needs in that report criteria. But there will be no kind of complex reporting that you will be dealing in terms of learning. Everything I said, tracking is tracking complete. And a list of courses that are available. Instructors and this thing campaign related reports. Other than this, you will not get any other report requirements in this area. I want to know how much time a person spent on a particular online course, because every elements will have issues with course completion. And a person says that I have completed the course, but I didn't get credit for completing it. I would like to know credit will be getting only after the course completion status is completed. Correct. Sometimes, because of some reasons, they might not receive completion credit. For us or for any admin to go ahead and know how much time did you really spend on the course content. We can check that also. How do you check where did he spend the course? How much time he spent on the online content, taking the online content. If it is like 1 hour, we really know that he has taken the course. You're getting my point. I'm getting your point, but that will be on SCOM package. Only you will be able to know. If employees look, let's see if any video content is there. 2 hours of video content is there. If employee has gone 1.5 hour content and could not be able to proceed. You should be able to know whether that 1.5 hours can be reported or not. Is that your question? If I want to know how much time he really spent watching the course. That video, let's see. We don't have any kind of delivered fields, completed date completion. This thing we have, let's see. I don't think any delivered field is a duration kind of thing, but let me see. Whereas was great. You know web service and temporary report here. When you make your report as web service, and I will the checkbox. If you check, you will also find that option here. You have clicked on optimize performance though. That's the reason why it became indexed. No, I've not clicked. Learning enrollments is an indexed data source only. We don't have any standard data source in learning. Learning enrollment is an indexed data source. Since it is indexed automatically, it has a data source filter options. We don't have a standard data source type for learning enrollment. And since you know the data source type is indexed automatically. When I enter that one, the automatically returns data source filters. Data source filter, we don't have to select. We can select. I just thought of showing you something. When you are creating reports, you know you will be having this option. Enable as web service. If you check this checkbox, the meaning is you're wanting this report to connect to any of the integration that you'll be creating in Workday and attach this report to that integration and send to any external system. If you're selecting this one, your integration will identify the report. If you're not checking this one, your integration will not be identifying. If you get any chance of creating integrations, this is, the mandatory checkbox that you need to check when you're creating integrations. Enable as web service option. And one more thing is when you wanted a noise. When you're creating a report, you also will have temporary checkbox. If you check this checkbox by default, it will take 7 days from today. Automatically. You see, when I check this checkbox, 7 days data automatically will be populating. For 7 days, this report will be available for you in your tenant. And after that, it will automatically get deleted. If you're creating a report, let's say if any user will be reaching out to you, hey, can you create a report in which will pull all learning enrollments of completions and send me that spreadsheet. They're not wanting report access, but they're just asking, for one time need of all the completion for that particular course. Instead of creating complete report and having a report in tenant, you can use this temporary option. Once you create a report and deliver the file automatically, this report may be deleted in the defined time. And if you wanted to extend time also, you can extend for 1 month or for 2 months for any time that you wanted to have. You can extend that automatically. After that particular date, it will get deleted. That is about temporary report. There will be a few more data source filters, but this all enrolled completed events also will be there. But I don't think this. We have not enrolled any of the candidate. No, there is a reason why it is not showing. But when you try in your report, you should be able to see different data source filter. All enrolled completed the enrollments. You'll be able to see, which means that you have some completed learning and options in your system. When you do that, you'll be getting that data source filter option here. Instead of we have not enrolled any of the candidate because of tenant issues, we are not able to get this option. Even if you can run your report without this also. Without this, you can create a report you can run. This is not a mandatory or required filter option that you need to select. Without this also, you can select. Now what is the report? Tags in the top. Report. Let's say if you create I've given tag as a RAM learning. And I'll be creating 10 more reports and will be using this stack RAM learning. When I search RAM learning in search bar, all those 10 reports will be coming. Oh, meaning it's not going to give access to anyone or something. Tag means it will enable you to search. You can tag multiple reports to that report tag. And with that report tag, when you search in the search bar, those multiple reports will be populated. Like how will you search RAM learning reports? Or how would you search? Essentially, we have not clicked it yet. This is not saved. But we can search later. We will try later. Which will give learning enrollment status. Learning enrollment means the particular course name. You are searching in learning enrollment and then tie still. I'm using multiple related business objects. How do we know which field is under which business object? This is one important thing I would like to know. Which field and which business object? I told you no. I think I did not told you. I just told you about related business object. Now probably, since you are new to Workday reporting, you will not know. If someone asks you to create a report on learning enrollments, you will be not knowing what field that you need to select and what are the fields that are available in that particular source. You will be not available. The first thing you will know is which data source that you wanted to pick. After picking your data source, you have this many learning. Let's take for enrollments. I click on learning enrollments and I have a business object called learning enrollment. Now there is one more. This is for data sources, a kind of standard report where you know data sources and the business subject that is associated with that. Now there is another report, standard report called the report fields. Here you will be knowing at field level information, you will be knowing, let's say business. Object to learning enrollment you wanted to look for. You will be getting all the fields that are sitting in learning enrollment. Based on your reporting requirement, you can select any of the fields that you wanted to select from here. This only will help in the initial stage, but when you get good hands on, when you get some conceptual understanding. On report creation, no need to automatically. You'll create a report with the relevant fields on your own by not getting into this report field kind of standard report. Only you know. This will be helpful at the initial stage to understand which report will be available. The field is not available. Whether you wanted to go for calculated field or not, you will be making decision. But when you get good hands on and if you're able to create multiple reports, then you'll be able to understand this field is available or not. You should be able to change on your own. This is how you'll be getting to the field versus business. Object information. Here also we are searching for business object and then we are seeing the field. Can we search for a field and then find out which business object it is? You can. The field, since we are aware of the business object. We have given this. If you don't want to go with business object and just give field, let's say what field that we wanted to work as, let's say duration. We need to see which business order that is sitting in learning course. These two field that we have course duration and the text format. Example 90 minutes. In this way, it will be coming out. The duration of course proposed by business process. This is for different event, but then as duration. No one of the learning has been consumed. Attendance duration is one thing. You know that you can choose if exactly wanted to have an enrollment duration, status or course duration. Anything of these two will work for you. If you can click these two, you will be getting a learning enrollment event and course duration event where you can pick this in your report. Where is the report we created? The duration was there in learning enrollment as well as learning course. Which this object we have to select? In that, how do we know? Depends upon your type of requirements. If you're creating a report with the report with all the learning enrollments, course duration will work. And if you wanted to have this course duration into your enrollment, you can go with see where it is linking. It is learning course category learning and click on this one business object. See whether you are able to have this as a related business object in learning enrollment. Now go to related business object. Here you'll be finding whether you can link to your primary business object or not. Now course is the one where the C will have learning enrollment. All these are related business objects, is it? To that primary course business object, how do we link it? Link in the sense you'll not link anything, you'll be just using by looking at this information, you'll be using that report, that business object as related in your report. That's it. By getting into this, you'll be knowing, yes, learning program is there. Learning program is a business object which we can use, from which we can relate this business object to that you'll be able to understand. From here, you will be knowing from that business object where you can link, you will be knowing that information. But you will not be like how we know in another traditional software applications. You'll be writing a query to join tables and all that kind of thing. We're not doing it because we don't have a table concept here. Only information you'll be getting. Yes, this can be related to primary business object because here we are seeing in the list of links that is available. Let's say if you're creating report called learning enrollment and learning enrollment data source and business object, and if you find and this is a course related to business object, learning course business object, and if you wanted to see whether this learning course can be used as a related to business object in learning and learning primary business object, you need to find whether learning enrollment is there in the list or not. If it is not there, you will be not able to add this learning course as a related to business object to your learning environment, primary business object. There is a kind of information that you will be getting from here. I think the report we created has gone. Oh, these are all workers, the one that we created. You will not have any timeout issues in your actual tenant. Nothing to worry on this. If you are creating report, it will be as it is. Normally we select advanced report on the advanced most cases at once. But in learning you don't have any other reporting requirements. You know to show in a graphical format or to show in a trended format. You don't have different formats. You know that business will be asking. Mostly no business will be asking the completion status only. Other than that there are no requirement. If you take core HR, you know probably your business may ask, I wanted to know how many employees got hired today, how many employees got terminated. And I wanted to see in a graphical format to show the percentage of hiring, percentage of terminations. You know in that way, you know people will be asking for them. You know we'll be creating a graphical report that makes them easily to understand the percentage of hiring and the percentage of termination. But in learning you know, we will not be getting such kind of requirements. You know graphical format or any kind of other chart formats and all that. They'll just ask, you know we wanted to know the completion status, that's it. And most of the learning admins have now got familiar with the system. And without the reporting requirement, what they'll be doing is they'll be getting into employee profile or will create initially, will create a completions report and will give access to those learning administrators. And they'll be checking that report whenever they wanted to have. Other than that, there is no reporting requirement that will be coming. The user also will be needed. Which user? You have multiple options here. You can go worker and also learner also will become not sure whether learning is there. You can just take worker, which will be returning worker name. The worker means worker name or worker ID or what? No, worker name will be getting worker ID means employee ID. That is different. Worker means they will be getting employee name. Full name, first name. Yes, everything is needed. And if you wanted to get some worker information, you can use worker as a kind of related business object here. And if you wanted to have employee manager, if you wanted to get, they will be giving employee manager and the employee supervisory organization if you wanted to get. If you wanted no total number of working hours. All this will not be required, but I'm just showing an option. You can also get all this information because you're using worker as a kind of related business object. All this information you can add any number of related business objects. There is no restriction in Workday. You can add a number of related business objects. You'll have and you can do some filtering here if you wanted to go with any specific course enrollments. Filter means it will have a filter. If you wanted to filter the data, let's say now we know. If you won't give this filter, this report will be returning enrollments for all the courses. Now, if you wanted to only filter with, if you wanted to have a report only for a particular course, you can do that filtering option which reduces data volume. If you know the course name, it will be giving a course name here equal to 2022. If you give when you run the report, your report will be running only for Code of Conduct 2022 and will be returning results. If you're not giving any filter, it will run for all the courses that are available in the tenant. This has to be converted to a single incident because we're using a learned index data source that your course list of courses will be automatically populated in the list. Now let's see from another field. If you have the list of courses that we can take, no, I think this only will work. You can filter with any of the course that you wanted to have from the filter. That will reduce volume of data and that returns a list of courses available. Now let's remove this one. I don't think we'll be getting anything because we have not made any enrollments, but we'll see. You have two options here. One is run, another one is test. When you click on test, what it will return is it will run in test mode and it will return the first 10 records that are available in the report. In seconds, I can say, let's say if your head count of organization is around 1 lakh or 1.5 lakh. When you're creating report, for that huge count report will take some time, 1 or 2 minutes, or more than that depends upon your tenant performance to return the data. You don't want it to wait for 1 or 2 minutes, but you just wanted to see whatever fields that you have given is returning the values or not. Then you will just click on test option and your report will be running in test mode and it will return the first 10 employees in the report. As a result that you can validate all the results and then ensure that every data is populated correctly and then you can deliver that report. It's only displayed in the records, is it? Yes, first 10 records it will display. If you go with the test run. Now, as I said, we don't have any enrollment, that we are not getting any information on enrollments because we have not seen. We tried to enroll, but that option was not there. Because of tenant teacher, since that enrollment records is not available, we are not seeing any kind of enrollment information coming out. But generally, you will be getting all the enrollments when you create a report in this way, with all the list of courses that are available in your tenant. Probably as an activity. What you can do is you can create the same report in your testing tenant with the learning enrollment is a kind of data source and go with any amount of field. But only you know. Just check with a few fields as a kind of mandate. One is learning enrollment, content, title and worker information. Other than this, you can add any number of fields that you wanted to have and add any related business subject and add those fields for your understanding. That should be. But try to see if there are any kind of enrollments that are available. And when you get that enrollment, you can see all the enrollments in the list. And also other thing that you can test is status. Whether you want to report on completed or in progress or not started kind of enrollment status. You can also filter in that way. I'll show you. Probably you can do that as an activity and come up with any questions that you have in your tomorrow's class. Now if you wanted to filter only on completions or if you wanted to filter only on other than completions. You can select any of this option. If you click on completed, only will be getting completed records other than completed. If you wanted a filter in progress or not started, you will be getting without any completion status. There are any records in the system that will be returning that you should be able to track the completions and follow up with. I said write a campaign. You know when campaign and you wanted to send as a kind of reminder for people who have not completed. This is how we will be creating a report within progress or not started that your report will be returning results who have not completed. This report you will take and you will be attaching in your campaign that people who are returning in this report will be sent a notification saying that you have not started your course. And this is the due date that we have, and before the due date you have come to information it will be sending. But this is the type of report that you'll be creating for people who have not completed. And probably you can take this an activity. You can create one report with learning enrollments with all the information, at least learning enrollment, status course, name and employee name. And you can filter with any criteria that you wanted to have, whether it is completed or not started or in progress. You can select anything and you can go with it and create that one and come up with any questions that you might have on this. Any questions? Any questions on this? What about prompts and how we can change them? Prompts are nothing but which will give flexibility for users. Let's say if you're giving the access to business users to run the reports or not. Rather than it's also one kind of filter, I can say. Within date range that you wanted to run the report or based on employee that you wanted to run report or based on course name that you wanted to know. Your prompts will help in that way. And we'll see how we can set a prompt based on learning enrollment or learning completion status anything. In order to set a prompt, we already have a completion status. I'll just keep as it is. But since we wanted to set as a prompt, what I'll do is I'll make it as a prompt. What is the prompt? If you go to comparison type, we'll be having based on values here from for the user for the value and the value from the specified list you'll be getting. Since we wanted to select a prompt for this completion status, I've selected the prompt. Prompting it in the filter. if you don't leave. No, you need to take this prompt to the prompt section and secure prompt. Here we can take it. What happened? Here, we need to know one thing. It's not really, we'll go with the worker. If your report is not a web service enabled report, now you can prompt within filter only. No need to go with prompts. But if your report is in a web service enabled report, then you need to go with the prompt. Let me show that one. Now the report is not a web service enabled report. Now this is not a web service enabled report. Now if I click now, I've not given prompts in prompt section. I've not given any prompts here. I've just used default prompt in the filter only. I'll click on the system should allow. Because your report is not a web service enabled report, and that is the reason why you're able to do prompting within filter only. And when you run a report, it will prompt for worker and completion status. Now let's say if I make this report as a web service enabled and see what will happen. I'm making this report as a web service enabled, and if I click on, I should get an error now. I got an error saying that I'm not. I've set as a prompt, but I have not used those prompts. I have not used those prompts in the prompt section. Now what I'll do is, when you're making your report as a web service enabled, make sure that when you have filter requirements, go to the prompts and set those as a prompts. Since you made your report as a web service enabled, there are multiple related business objects in your report. When your report is a web service, enable those related objects we added here, because you'll be generally when you're doing some kind of programming, coding and all. This will help during that part. Sorry, I didn't get you. What did you say? When you have multiple business objects and when your report is a web service enabled report, those multiple related business objects should be added here. The purpose of adding here is this XML tag is generating this XML tag. This will be useful for you. When you're writing programming, you know to, let's say, if when you're making your report as a web service enabled, it is nothing but you're creating integration. I said when your report is a web service enabled, which means that your integration has to identify your report. And when you are building integration, your integration should return the values from your related business object also. When you're writing a program, XSLD is a kind of programming language that we have in Workday, where if you wanted to send a file in JSON format and CSV format and Excel format, you'll need to write a program there. For technical developers to write a program to pull the values from a related business object, you know you'll be adding that business object under group column headings. And this can be used in the program to return values. Let's say worker group. You have used your program. When you use workable, group is nothing but a worker. From worker, it will be returning all the values. Only you have added. Only worker I've added. I think I've added many, but I think I've not saved. It has gone. You can add the business. What we have to add here is it. When your report is a web service enabled. What is the website? When is it is not knowing of adding? And which language do we write? Accessible. Accessible. Extensive style sheet language. And where do we write that? In which software? No, we have, XML encoder that we have. We'll be writing in Notepad and we'll be giving extension as .accessibility, and where you can attach that accessibility in Workday, that can be, treated as a kind of, you'll be giving your report name in the coding and you'll add that accessibility will be identifying your report and will be performing its job based on the code that you have written. No, is it like what this studio, we have to write this or what? No, anywhere, but the thing is, you'll be writing in Notepad. You'll be writing in Notepad and you'll be adding extension as .accessibility to that Notepad. That will be converted into extensible file. And that can be used in Studio. That can be used in, what they integrate anywhere. The first thing you need to have that you write in the, for example, in the Notepad or wherever. What exactly do we write? Report is built here. What is your report is built, but if you wanted to convert, let's say if you are integrating this report to any external system, what is the default output of Workday? It is default output for the output is an XML, but your external system will not ask you to send you an XML format because they don't understand it. They'll be asking you to send information in a CSV or Excel or any different formats. Easy understandable file formats. In that way, you'll be writing a program there too in order to convert that XML to CSV. Convert XML to Excel or text format, any format that you wanted to convert. You'll be using accessibility. That accessibility can be helpful for you when you're dealing with service enabled report, when you have a number of related business object. In order to identify your related business object, you'll be adding those related business objects here, and you can use these XML alias names in your accessibility to identify or to return the values from the business object. I'm got that, but I'm not able to understand what is the use of the file, what we write. Where do we keep that file? What file you're asking? .exe file. Where exactly are we going to file to get the integrity? No, you'll create all in Workday only. You have a lot many tasks to create accessibility or not. You have. Where exactly? If you write, you'll be writing accessibility and you'll be attaching that accessibility here. This one you have that access. You'll be attaching that accessibility in your integration. We have to attach the accessibility in the integration that yes. First you need to write an accessibility and that has that accessibility internet and the call that accessibility in your integration. And complete technical area. Absolute. I just wanted to understand the logic, that's all. Very easy. You know you'll be creating accessibility and attach that accessibility in the task that I've shown you. And when you have accessibility attached in tenant, when you're creating EIB will ask you whether you wanted to go with accessibility transformation or a plain XML. If you select that transformation, accessibility transformation, it will ask you which accessibility that you wanted to add here. You can pick any of the accessibility that you have created and attach in EIB, and that will perform its job when integration is running. If there are any others, you'll be fixing those errors, or if there are no errors, you'll be able to see the intended format of output file. No. Sorry, like for example, I want to have a pie chart or a different, I thought, in output file. No, it will normally come in an Excel or a CSV. No, you'll not be getting any. Output file, you'll not be getting any chart formats or not even if you go with any other report format output because advanced report cannot generate anything in pie chart or thing you know. You'll be not able to. Let me show that also. Let's say now I've given a prompt in web service and it will ask you for prompt. That is one thing you know that you should be clear now. Let's say if I go for output or else, let me take any existing report that has any data and let me show you that example. Let me run any of this report. We didn't create any report. This is such a let me create one simple report. What is the supervisory organization which we have? Supervisory organization. Supervisory organization is nothing but your manager's organization. What it will be having your, let's say, you're working in an MSTM and you're reporting to one of the person who manages the learning and development team. That will be a kind of supposed organization. There's no reason to configure here. There has to be legend, and legend is not coming here. Basically, in order to get any kind of, you have multiple chart type formats. But your reporting requirement should be matching when you wanted to have your, the output format in a chart or anything. When you extract that output, you'll be not getting any pie chart or any table. But in Workday, if you wanted to view any output in a chart format, in a table format, anything or whatever, you have a lot of chart formats here. You can select any of the format here and create a report and view that report within Workday. You will be not able to extract that output in Excel file. You have an option to Excel file, Download your output to an Excel in Workday. But when you download that in a chart format, you'll be not getting those charts in your Excel. You'll be getting output in a standard tabular format only, because chart formats and pie charts graphical formats cannot be extracted or downloaded in an Excel file or cannot be integrated to any external system, because there is no report. Matrix report is one report in a way will be creating output in a graphical format, but there is no option of attaching your matrix report to integrations. Only advanced report is a kind of report that will be attached to integrations. And in any of the case, you'll not be attaching pie charts or tables or bar charts to any of the integration. Only information that you'll be sending to external vendors. Whatever data is sitting in Workday, you'll be sending that data from Workday to external system. But no one will be asking you that I wanted to have all your data in a pie chart format that we wanted to have in your system. And we need to have this graphical format. No external vendor will be asking you that. And even if they ask, we'll be not able to do that. If not in Workday, only if I want to display it in a chart or bar. That is possible. That is possible. That is possible. Any report, but you need to have your requirements clear. Now I'm creating a worker report with all the employee information, demographic information. For the demographic information, you won't be needing pie charts. You won't be needing PO charts. But let's say if your management has asked, I wanted to know how many employees have got terminated from 2018 to till now based on the cost center that they're assigned with. whatever their cost center assigned with. I wanted to know this cost center. From this cost center, this many employees have got terminated. From this cost center, this employees got hired. If they are giving that kind of information, your leadership team or executive leadership team, if they wanted to have such information, then you know you're creating a matrix report for that. And there are a lot of things you know that you need to group. If you wanted to group by cost center, group by column, in matrix report, there are a lot of terminologies. You'll be choosing that cost center as a kind of group, and you'll be giving related fields in matrix report and select matrix format as a chart or table. Whatever you're seeing here, the same format, the same options that you'll be getting here. What type of chart? You know that you wanted to select whether it is donut or bar chart. Anything you can select and have your report created. And give access to your leadership team and ask them to run the report whenever they wanted to have. Or the other way most of the customers will do is add those reports to a dashboard and give the dashboard access to your leadership team that they can view that information on their fingertips whenever they wanted to have. That is what we'll be doing, but will not be integrating any kind of graphical format reports to any external system. Yes, within Workday if you wanted to do, probably, I said you'll be doing one activity on learning enrollments. What you can do in that activity is go to output format. Good output format select. You'll be by default and you'll be seeing table options selected. Instead of a table, you can select the chart and table. And when you click on it, will ask for legend, and probably your tenant will be having all that information automatically. Legend will be populated. Select any of the legend and click on. You'll be getting output in a format that you have selected, chart format that you've selected. Try that one. And that should work. But when you should report, it should not be an advanced report for output to be selected as chart or by. Even advanced report can select, and once report also, we have an option. Now I've created a report on, I've created once and I'm in output format. I have an option to select. Even we can select, but you don't have any information. Your report. What is your reporting requirement now? You have given employee ID workers to voice their organization cost center active status. If you're getting this information in pie chart, what is that information? You will not be having the information to view this in chart information. I want all the active users based on the organization or based on country. Based on country, that you cannot do in advanced report. You can. Based on country means you wanted to group by country. If you wanted to group by country, your advanced report will not meet that need. You need to go with the matrix report and define in matrix report as a kind of column grouping or row grouping by country. And whatever employees that you wanted to have, you can give, and then in a select your output format, then your I know the chart format report will be giving output based on country, based on employee headcount, not only be able to monitor, but in advanced report, you can have an option to generate in a chart format, but only for informative. But all this information, whatever you're doing, you're not grouping it anyway. You're not grouping by cost center or by country or by region. You're not grouping. You'll not have fruitful information in chart when it generates. Where exactly do we group? In matrix report, you need to create a matrix report, and there you'll be having a lot of options to group. We have an option of column grouping, row grouping, and you have an option to drill down the fields. And all in matrix report, you have all those options where you can create however you want, whatever grouping that you wanted to do in a matrix report. You can select those grouping items and select the category that you wanted to have. You know category in the sense the chart category, and your output will be generated in such a way I'll just show that option and I'll drop off for today. But in learning, you'll be not getting any matrix report requirements. Other areas like headcount, core HR, other areas, recruiting, how many we have hired, how many got, joined in the organization, all those things, you'll be having in recruiting and core HR, but not in learning. You have in matrix report grouping. Here you can group row wise, and if you wanted a group, you can group, and you can do column grouping here. Let's say if I create by cost center, This is how you know you'll be getting matrix report based on grouping. You have total count, this one. And if you click on this thing, you'll be getting what is exact kind of this organization like that. You'll be getting, but in advanced report, you'll be not able to group. That is the reason we will not be getting any chart. But this cannot be extracted in the same format. Let's say I have no option to export index. And if I click on export, I will be not getting this chart in Excel. But I will be getting the data, but not in chart. I think it will be useful for learning based on completions. I mean, if you want to get code of conduct or anything with your country as what number of completions are. There are delivered reports. I think there should be some standard reports which give the information. But if there is no information based on as how we have created, you can give that grouping in a completion status in grouping. And by what you know you wanted to categorize by cost center that you wanted to know, or by supervised that you wanted to know anything you can select in a row grouping. And accordingly, whatever fields that you wanted to give, you can give and have this format generated. Can we pull up or can we have a report kind of created like a bar or a? You can create where I want to know. I was signed for 100 people, out of which only 50 people have completed. Or 60 people have completed. Can we get this in it? Yes, you can get here because you'll be filtering with the completion status or you'll be grouping by completion status. And you wanted to know which group have completed, which group have not completed. You also mentioned column grouping by cost center, by supervisor organization, that when you run a report, it will show you from this organization. These are the people who have not completed. These are the people who have completed in a chart format, in a bar format, where you'll be able to get. And also you'll be knowing some trends. From this particular day, the completion percentage was this one, and this day, the completion percentage is this one. You'll be knowing that trend also. If you wanted to know the trend, also able to know. You should be able to do that, but should be only in matrix. Let me try that. Probably I don't have was that this tenant does not have any enrollment information and probably this tenant will not work. But if you wanted to have information in order to create matrix report based on your completion status, I'll get you a kind of requirement that I've created in my official tenant. Probably you can try that one. It's just only what you need to filter, what drill down fields that you need to give, what detail that you need to, just in a matter of fields only. Chart format, everything you'll be selecting as per your automation requirement. Just to have that information. I'll get you that list. You can email me to push my email address. You can put it here and probably. Oh, I don't. One sec. I think I have. I have sent you to do it. I know it. I'll share that information properly today. By end of today or tomorrow, I'll share it to you. I'm just sending you my phone number also. Because we'll touch tomorrow on this. Then what kind of is your clear with the reporting Or do you have any questions or you wanted to know anything on reporting? No, I think we're good. Until I do it, I would not get any doubts. Probably what I would say is create report on learning enrollments and create multiple and have multiple related business. Object to filtering. Whatever I've shown you do, prompting as how I've shown you get any questions that you wanted to have. That is, I know maximum that you can do with learning enrollments. Matrix report. As you wanted to know something, the completion status in a graphical format. I'll get you that kind of, step-by-step kind of requirement to get that done. That should work. And with that, you should be good with reporting, and probably tomorrow. What we'll do is we'll get into the part and see how we can work with the EIBs. And what are the EIBs? There are a lot of EIBs related to learning we have, but we'll be knowing what each EIB will do, and probably will do some kind of, upload process, how to upload data, which EIB that we need to identify, how to generate a spreadsheet template, how to upload the data. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.